According to a peer-reviewed study, medical cannabis led to a statistically significant improvement in quality of life, employment status, and in the reduction of the number of medications in those with Tourette's syndrome, in addition to improving comorbidities. A new breed of rice that is a hybrid of an annual Asian rice and a perennial African rice could be a more sustainable option. The hybrid rice was able to produce grain for 8 consecutive harvests over 4 years at a yield comparable to the standard annual Asian rice, with much lower costs and labor. USA sexually teased its troops in the First World War to make them fight harder. Believing that sexually satisfied men could not be easily motivated, the aim of this teasing was to generate unmet sexual desire, which the War Department could leverage as motivation to fight. Most babies start developing their hearing while still in the womb, prompting some hopeful parents to play classical music to their pregnant bellies. Some research even suggests that infants are listening to adult speech as early as 10 weeks before birth, gathering the basic building blocks of their family's native tongue. People in their 20s and 30s who drink moderate to heavy amounts of alcohol may be more likely to have a stroke as young adults than people who drink low amounts or no alcohol, according to a study. The risk of stroke increased the more years people reported moderate or heavy drinking. The Texas law prohibiting abortion after detectable embryonic cardiac activity was associated with a decrease in in-state abortions and an increase in residents obtaining out-of-state abortions. The proportion of out-of-state abortions obtained at 12 weeks increased significantly from 17.1% to 31%.
The first assignment is due on the 14th of September. The first assignment is due on the 14th of September.
The bibliography needs to be removed prior to the publication. The bibliography needs to be removed prior to the publication. The cafeteria is open on Monday and Thursday. The cafeteria is open on Monday and Thursday. Many experts think that the world climate is changing. Many experts think that the world climate is changing. Accommodations on campus are limited, but there are more options nearby. Accommodations on campus are limited, but there are more options nearby.
The bus right out in the front will take you to the station. The bus right out in the front will take you to the station. Extension is only available under special circumstances. Extension is only available under special circumstances. The deadline of assignments is the 4th of February. The deadline of assignments is the 4th of February.
This office is for students who want to study abroad. This office is for students who want to study abroad. You are recommended to only use footnotes when they are necessary. You are recommended to only use footnotes when they are necessary.
The following map gives information about a floor plan. Different rooms are displayed on the floor plan, including a living room, a kitchen, a water closet, and an entrance hall. In the upper left area, there is a living room with a set of green sofa at the lower right corner. In the upper right area, there is a kitchen, which has a rectangle table with 6 chairs. According to this map, the largest area is the living room, which is next to the entrance hall. In comparison, the smallest area is the water closet next to the washroom. In conclusion, there are different functional areas shown on the map. The following graph gives information about a street view. This is a very beautiful picture, and it shows a number of things. According to this graph, in the central area, there is a broad street, the color of it is gray. You can see from this graph that, in the right area, there is a row of 2-storied buildings, they are made of stones. You can see from this graph that, in the left area, there are some short buildings made of red bricks. The weather is sunny. The sky is blue and clear. In conclusion, this picture is about a street with some cars in it. The following image gives information about a wheelchair. This is a very beautiful picture, and it shows a number of things. According to this image, at the central area, there is a wheelchair in which a woman is sitting. You can see from this image that, behind the wheelchair, there is a younger man who is pushing the wheelchair. You can see from this image that, in the background, there are many trees in a large lawn, and the color is green. The weather is sunny. The sky is blue and clear. In conclusion, this picture is very informative. The picture shows us out of sight, out of mind. According to the picture, we can see the continent-sized cortex of plastic waste is blighting the Pacific. Specifically, there are two rubbish soups, the eastern garbage patch which is next to Japan and the western garbage patch which is next to the Hawaii. The North Pacific gyre currents are running differently in two different patches. Apart from that, the translucent soup of degrading plastic waste is as deep as 10 meters and the North Pacific gyre currents keeps soup in constant movement. We can also see the section of garbage patch is in color red. In conclusion, the picture indicates that we need to take environmental problems seriously.
I've been thinking a lot about the world recently and how it's changed over the last 20, 30, 40 years. 20 or 30 years ago, if a chicken caught a cold and sneezed and died in a remote village in East Asia, it would have been a tragedy for the chicken and its closest relatives, but I don't think there was much possibility of us fearing a global pandemic and the deaths of millions. 20 or 30 years ago, if a bank in North America lent too much money to some people who couldn't afford to pay it back, and the bank went bust, that was bad for the lender and bad for the borrower, but we didn't imagine it would bring the global economic system to its knees for nearly a decade. This is globalization. This is the miracle that has enabled us to transship our bodies and our minds and our words and our pictures and our ideas and our teaching and our learning around the planet ever faster and ever cheaper. It's brought a lot of bad stuff, like the stuff that I just described, but it's also brought a lot of good stuff. A lot of us are not aware of the extraordinary successes of the Millennium Development Goals, several of which have achieved their targets long before the due date. That proves that this species of humanity is capable of achieving extraordinary progress if it really acts together and it really tries hard.
Western country child birth rates. In the Western countries, women are becoming more and more reluctant to give birth to babies. However, the male status in society remains as strong as it ever has in recent years. The birth rates increased during the early 20th century, but it started to decrease over these last 2 decades. In the year 2000, as example, the birth rate remained at around 1%. There are even some negative birth rates in other countries. Birth rates dropped to their lowest point that has ever been seen in society. It also has impacts on males in society, especially young males. And it might even have some connection with unemployment rates as well.
What do we call the headache or other sick feelings caused by drinking too much alcohol? What do we call the headache or other sick feelings caused by drinking too much alcohol? Hangover. Where do we catch a flight? Where do we catch a flight? Airport. What do we call the chair a king or a queen sits in? What do we call the chair a king or a queen sits in? Throne. What do we call a young dog? What do we call a young dog? Puppy. What object has 3 legs and can support a camera? What object has 3 legs and can support a camera? Tripod. What is the way animals conserve energy to survive the winter? What is the way animals conserve energy to survive the winter? Hibernation.